Hello everyone, hope you're having the greatest of days today. Welcome to the Film Insight channel. For today's video, we're going to discuss some more Hell's Kitchen contestants and review how they're doing now. So, sit back, relax, and without further ado, let's get right into the content, guys. Amanda Palomino. Two-time contestant Amanda Palomino, also known as Manda, appeared in both the 15th and 17th season of the show. Originally working as a sous chef, Palomino attempted to take her career to the next level by competing on Hell's Kitchen. Making her first appearance in the 15th season, she was an extremely kind and level-headed chef. Not having the most impressive start in the competition, Palomino's signature dish was deemed average and received 3 points. Despite this, she managed to make the crowd laugh with her interesting personality and even cracked up Gordon Ramsay himself. As the competition pressed on, Palomino was quite inconsistent in the kitchen but did bounce back from her mistakes. She was quite a decent performer, but this only lasted until she switched to the blue team, which is when things started to become difficult. Not only did she start clashing with her teammates, but she had a feud with a contestant named Frank Cala due to his aggressive attitude. That aside, she still managed to get to the Black Jacket's face thanks to the immense amount of passion she had. Unfortunately, during her final dinner service, which was technically her first night with a Black Jacket, Palomino completely bombed things. On top of being unresponsive to some of Ramsay's orders, she did everything at a sluggish pace and sent out raw meat on more than one occasion. Finally, after 14 weeks of brutal competition, Palomino was eliminated for her piss-poor performance. Considering that she did make it to the Black Jackets phase, Ramsay did acknowledge her in his parting comments, but it wasn't all positive. He said that, "I can't deny Manda's passion nor Jared's commitment, but it was painfully obvious that they couldn't measure up to my final three." Returning to compete alongside one of the finalists, Palomino was chosen to be on Ariel's team, who would eventually become the 15th winner of Hell's Kitchen. Several years later, Palomino came back to compete on the All-Star season of the show, but things had changed drastically. While she may have been pretty decent in her previous run, she was the weakest chef on the red team. Generally speaking, she was an inconsistent performer, but even when she succeeded, it wasn't anything too impressive. Due to the fact that she was a clear liability to her team, she was eliminated on the 7th week, ranking in 11th place. Following her first appearance on the show, Palomino became the manager at Too Good To Be, which was a fantastic gluten-free bakery that closed down in 2019. After her second run in the competition, she was a manager once again, but at a place called Cup King Cafe. A while later, she decided to move on to other ventures and provided virtual chef services, which we didn't know was a real thing. It's so nice to know that she's doing well. Coop Winecoop. First appearing in the 16th season of the show, Coop Winecoop, also known as William, hoped to put his skills to the test by competing on Hell's Kitchen. Presenting his scallops with pork cheek dish to Gordon Ramsay for the signature dish challenge, he was actually quite impressed with his work and gave it a 4 out of 5. Chosen to be on the blue team, Winecoop was probably one of the quietest and most reserved of the bunch. On occasion though, he would lose his temper, but this was really only when he was pushed over the edge by certain contestants. For instance, he had quite a heated feud with a contestant named Paulie Gigante who had a massive ego. Gigante would constantly brag about how amazing of a chef he was even though he was quite average, and accuse Winecoop of different things which pissed him off greatly. Other than not being able to get along with Gigante, Winecoop disliked several other chefs for their inability to own up to their mistakes. Despite some petty drama with the other contestants, he had a lot of confidence in the kitchen and would push through any hardship that came his way. Like in the 7th episode when he accidentally sliced his fingernail off and decided to keep competing. Even if the injury wasn't of the same magnitude, Winecoop's drive to keep moving forward reminds us a lot of Dave Levy. Anyway, Winecoop performed pretty strongly in the kitchen, but this would quickly change after the 8th week. After being placed on the fish station, he was caught cooking salmon and sea bass on the same pan, which angered Ramsay deeply. Due to his poor performance during the dinner service, Winecoop was eliminated, ranking in 11th place. Before leaving, he did receive a comment from Ramsay, who expressed that, like many chefs, Coop can talk the talk, but after witnessing his cooking, I told him to walk the walk. Following his time on Hell's Kitchen, Winecoop went on to work at Tavern 101, which has pretty solid reviews. If you take a look at his Instagram, he mainly focuses on the firearms that he owns, which is pretty interesting. Jeffrey Dewberry. A pastry chef named Jeffrey Dewberry appeared in the very first season of the show and became a contestant to remember. Dewberry could be described as someone who was nice, had an interesting personality, and was genuinely funny. After mistakenly being called Blueberry by Gordon Ramsay, he presented his baked spaghetti signature dish, which was overcooked and likened to children's food. Aside from having a rough start, Dewberry admittedly had a lot of passion in the kitchen and had a degree of potential. Unfortunately, he had little to no culinary skills and would make mistakes on the simplest of things. Like how he oddly put fish stock in the spaghetti and sent out dishes without testing their overall quality first. To make matters even worse, he was very weak-minded and would take advantage of any opportunity he had to jump ship. Much like his signature dish, Dewberry was extremely childish and would whine about practically everything. Within just 2 weeks of competing, Dewberry was already being called names by Ramsay, who described him as a big effin' overgrown muffin. Since Dewberry was a weak link to his team and seemed confused as to what needed to be done, he was eliminated, ranking in 11th place. Before leaving, he did receive a parting comment from Ramsey, who was as utterly ruthless as ever. He said that, "I'm looking for someone who can weather the storm, inspire individuals, and stand as a great leader." That clearly is not Dewberry. Returning for the final dinner service, he was Ralph Pagano's last pick, who would eventually become Hell's Kitchen's first runner-up. Post Hell's Kitchen, Dewberry hasn't gone on to do too much, but did become the chef/manager at a place called Flying Biscuit Cafe. At one point, he did post vegan recipes and other related content to his YouTube channel, but it's currently empty. Gizzy Barton. Season 18 contestant Gizzy Barton, who previously worked as a sous chef, came into the competition with a ton of confidence. Many would even say that she was a bit too confident since she undermined a lot of the veterans' abilities. Barton wasn't all talk though, since she managed to impress Gordon Ramsay with her signature dish, which he gave a 5 out of 5. She was also praised by the famous chef in the next challenge for her delicious vegetarian risotto, cementing the fact that she had talent. Despite being considered a rookie, she wasn't shy to call out the other sous chefs if they did something wrong. For instance, when one of them failed to properly season their lobster risotto, she was the first to point it out. Having an incredible amount of potential, Barton was seen as an asset to her team due to her immense skill and passion. Unfortunately, after the third week, Barton's confidence would go into a complete downward spiral. As a result of her doubt, she started to perform poorly but at least managed to bounce back from her mistakes. However, she made way too many missteps and was finally eliminated after being nominated twice, ranking in 11th place. Before leaving, she did get a comment from Ramsey, who acknowledged her skill but was also quite disappointed. He said that, "I had such high hopes for Gizzy from day one, but if she doesn't truly believe in herself, then I can't either." Following her time on the show, she returned to her previous job as a sous chef at a restaurant called Eco until she eventually opened her own meal plan business. On the side, she does some cookery events and demonstrations online. Most recently, she got married and goes by the name Gizzy Rollins. Cyanne Williams. As our final entry, we're going to discuss a contestant named Cyanne Williams, who appeared in the 19th season of the show. Williams could be described as someone who's cheerful yet serious and is always ready to give a helping hand to her teammates. She didn't give the best first impression in terms of her skills, since Gordon Ramsay gave her signature dish a 2 out of 5. Though, despite the fact that she had a few other minor setbacks, Williams was a pretty consistent performer. Since she was able to do decently in both the challenges and dinner services alike, she became a good link to her team. However, she wouldn't make it past the 6th week since she made a grave mistake while on the fish station. Not only did she send out some salmon that was slightly burnt, but she also tried to serve one that was ice cold, which is unacceptable. Due to these unfortunate mistakes, she was finally eliminated and only ranked in 11th place. Following her time on Hell's Kitchen, she decided to launch her own catering company called Crave Kitchens, which is doing pretty well. Check out their official Instagram page if you're interested in keeping up with the things that they offer. It's great that she's pretty successful. Well, that'll be all for today's video here on the channel. I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to drop a massive like down below and comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more content like this and turn on those sweet bell notifications for instant access to our content when it comes out. Finally, before we go, be sure that you have a great rest of your day and that you stay safe. See you in the next one, guys.